In this lesson, we're going to create the buckle for the straps. Alright, so we need two different elements for our buckle. We need the main part of the buckle that actually goes around the belt itself, and then we need the needle that pokes through one of the holes to attach the two straps together. So to get started with this, let's go to our front view, and we're going to create just a single polygon. And we're going to go to our standard primitives plane and just drag out a single polygon. And with this, let's make sure that we have our length and width segment set to 1 by 1. And then we're going to go ahead and convert this to editable poly. Now at this point, what you could do is you could come in and you could try to size this up a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to edge mode. And I'm just going to go into my move tool. I'm just going to create a single polygon, okay, and we're going to create this shape. Now, to get started, we could hold down Shift and we can move this around. But instead, what I want to do is I want to use the Freeform tool under Polydraw, and we're going to use the Extend tool. Now, before we can use this tool, we need to make sure that we have what we're drawing on set. So there are three options for this Draw On feature. Let's go ahead and expand this down, and you'll see that we can draw on grid, on surface, or on a selection. Now, right now we want to just use draw on grid because we're not actually drawing on any surface. We're not drawing on the backpack or anything like that. So let's just use the grid, and we should be able to come in and use our extend tool. So with that activated, you'll see that I have a cursor, and I can hold down Shift and drag out that edge just like we normally would. Okay, and I can move this in any direction that I like. Now let me drag this straight up, okay, a little bit, and then we're going to start to kind of round this out to the rest of this. So we'll continue to hold down Shift, and we'll drag this out. We'll start to curve this, but now I have the ability to change the topology without switching to vertex mode. And I can do this by holding down Shift, Control, and Alt, and then left click and drag on the vertices. And I can move those very quickly. So now this makes very quick work of this process. So hold down Shift, drag that out. Hold down Shift, Alt, and Control. And continue this process, pulling that out and over. And we'll make that a little bit more relaxed there. And then I'm only going to create half of it right here, because now what I can do is I could use symmetry to get the other 4 sides. So to show you this, let's left click and drag over these 2 vertices, and let's grab our scale tool and scale that in the X direction just to make sure that that is perfectly straight. Now let's go to edge mode, and let's select this edge right here. I'm going to go to our modifier list and use symmetry. Let's flip that. So now that we have that set of symmetry, and then we can go ahead and bake that. So I'm going to right click, convert to editable poly, and then we'll go to edge mode here and here, and then we're going to apply symmetry one more time. Now this time we're going to use the Y direction, and then we'll right click and we'll convert that to editable poly. Now you'll notice here that we've got quite a bit of room here, so let's come in and let's get rid of some of this geometry. So I'm going to hold down Control backspace, and I'm going to do this on all of these edges right here in the middle. Control backspace to remove, and let's go to vertex mode, select the vertices along the bottom, and we'll pull that straight up in the Y. Now let's make sure that we are in our view, not in our local direction. And for our reference coordinate system, I'm going to pull that up, and then I'm going to grab my scale tool, and let's turn off vertex mode. And let's scale across the center. Now you'll notice that my scale tool is here on the left side of our buckle. So we want to go to our hierarchy panel, effect pivot only, center to object. Now we can scale this in any direction that we want, and we can get the exact shape that we want. So I'm going to scale this down, and let me bring this back over in front of my straps here, and let's get that just kind of overlap the top of that. Now this buckle should fit right around the edges of the straps here. So let's turn off this realistic. Let's go to shaded so we can see that a little bit easier, and let's scale that in like so, and I'm going to pull it down just a little bit. And that looks great. So now what do we do with it? Okay, well, now I can go to border mode, hitting F3, or I'm sorry, 3 on the keyboard. And I can select both of those borders, grab my move tool, and then hold down shift and drag those out. Okay, so we have that, and then I can come in and I can start bridging the back side of that. Now to make this very quickly, instead of bridging each individual edge, what I could do is cut that in half so I can make this a little bit thinner, and then apply symmetry one more time. This time we're going to do the Z direction, and now we have the back side of our object. Let's go ahead and flatten that down, hitting convert to editable poly. And then I want to change the shape of this a little bit. So now I'm going to go to polygon mode. We have the polygons across the front and the back selected. And let's inset this. So I'm going to inset this in a little bit, like so. And then I'm going to convert my selection from polygon to vertices. So let's hold down Control, go to vertex mode, and scale those out. Scaling those out is going to round this out a little bit more. And then I can go to edge mode, double click on this edge here in the middle, and then hold Control and convert that to vertices. Scale that along the X and Z. Okay, and again, we've got a nice rounded piece of geometry here. Now looking at these vertices, they seem to have gotten off just a little bit. So I'm going to go to my scale tool and scale that in the Y, and do the same thing across this set of vertices. And there we go. Now really quickly, we don't want to forget about the segment right here in the middle. So double click on that, and this should be in the center, so you can just scale that along the X and Z and pull that in. Okay, so we've got a nice rounded shape here. Everything's looking great. And now what I want to do is just change its shape in this direction a little bit. So let's go to edge mode, select all the edges here in the middle, and I'm going to connect that to using 2 segments. And then I'm going to hit 4 to go to polygon mode and select all those polygons right there in the middle, just like so. And let's use our soft selection this time. We take our fall off up, we'll go to something around 40. And then I'm going to grab my move tool, hitting W, and I'm going to pull that out. You'll see that that begins to pull out that shape. Let's adjust our fall off a little bit more. And let me pull that out. Let me actually hit Control Z twice. Let's pull that fall off up to, let's go to about 65 or so. And then we'll pull that out. There we go. Have a nice rounded shape. That's much better. Okay. Okay, so now that we have this particular object, now we need to create the secondary piece to this. So this can be done very, very easily just by creating a simple plane or even a box. Either way will work. We'll use a box in this case. So we'll create kind of a small looking pin here. And we'll put that into position. So it's just going to kind of fit up underneath like so. And I'm going to take the entire buckle, both of these pieces, and I'm going to pull that up here to where it's interpenetrating with that strap, just like so, as it should. And then we're going to take just this piece, we'll pull that out some, and you might even reshape that. So I'm going to right click and convert it to editable poly. Let's go to polygon mode, select that polygon across the top, make it a little bit longer to where it meets up with the top of this piece here. I'm also going to select the polygon on the back side of it, so you may have to hit F3 to go to wireframe to see that, and let's make that a little bit thinner. Let's hit 2 on the keyboard to go to edge mode, and let's create some segments right in the middle of that. So I'm going to create 3 segments along this object, and let's actually do 4, and I'll hit OK. Now I'm going to go to polygon mode, hitting 4, and let's use our soft selection. Let's take our fall off up to about 30 or so, and then I'm just going to pull that out, and it should kind of curve that piece out like so. So a nice even piece there. Alright, so now that we have all of these, on some of these edges that are a little bit sharper, like on this object, we'll want to come in and we'll want to soften that up. So let's go to polygon mode and select just the polygons on the front and the back of that object. Okay. And with those, let's turn off that soft selection and let's use our inset tool. And that's going to create a polygon on the inside of that selected polygon. And then I'm going to hold down Control and convert my selection to vertex mode. And let's grab our scale tool. I'm just going to pull that out in the X direction. Now you'll see that it's not coming out as it should. Let's try our local direction, see if that gives us a little bit of a better result. And that doesn't seem to be working all that well either. So instead, let's try a different tool. Let's go back, hitting Control Z to before the inset, and then let's use bevel. So we can pull this down on our amount. Notice that it still gives us that nice inset, and then we can also extrude that out and adjust the overall setting here. So some of these tools are very similar, as you can see here. So they have a lot of the same functionality, they just work in a little bit different way. Okay, so now that we have those pieces, let's go ahead and change their color and their material. And then what we need to work on from there is smoothing out the look of the straps here. Now you see that the straps are very hard on these corners, and we need to soften that up. But we also want to be able to keep the functionality of using that loft. So in the next lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a little process called procedural modeling.